Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm recording and everything. I don't really care, but I'm just asking, whose dog?
That's
God,
my
what?
dog.
Okay, let's start there, and we're gonna get into something serious here really quickly. What is going on with these dogs?
My dogs, they just bark at everything that moves.
What type of dogs are they?
They're Labradoodles.
They're adorable. That you sort of put. Okay, well, see, you've totally disarmed me here because I really want to get in on you for the dogs barking during the show, but Labradoodles might be my favorite breed. They are so damn cute, dude. You have two of them?
Yeah.
What are their names?
Twinkie and Crumbs. They're not the toughest dogs.
The barks that we're hearing in the background do not sound like dogs that are named that at all.
They're
No,
big
not at all.
too.
They're big, yeah. Crumbs is like 100 pounds.
What are
105
their? You
pounds.
said Twinkie and Crumbs.
Yep.
Put it up on the poll, please. At _the Nosebleeds. Does that sound like Twinkie and Crumbs? Because no, I agree with Will. It doesn't at all. It sounds like you have German shepherds in a room trying to get into the room that you're recording in.
It sounds like
At least
Shep
to me.
and Bruce.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you've got two Goliaths there trying to get in on you, man.
Yeah,
But Alec Goecki, man, it's good to hear from you. How are things going?
pretty well, guys. You know, got out of work at 5 today as opposed to 8. So, you know, that's always a good day. Glad to be here at the start of the show.
Yeah, so I guess we can do sort of a formal introduction. My name is Andrew Levin. This is from the Nosebleeds podcast. I'm here with my good friends, Will Mosley. Will, say hello.
What's up, everybody?
And producer Mac Young. How's it going, man?
Pretty good, guys.
So I guess when I hopped on today, you guys were talking about something having to do with Twitter. What was this? What was that?
I'm being enlightened to the story currently. So apparently some pitcher, again, classic story, someone searched the internet and found someone saying really, really racist things in their past. Alec, can you explain a little more on who and the importance of why?
Yeah, so Josh Hader, pitcher for the Brewers, which I know not the Braves, but we're going to go into this baseball team, I guess. Josh Hader, pitcher for the Brewers, who was an all-star this year, actually. During the all-star game, somebody went through his Twitter history, found out that I think when he was about 16, so like 8 years ago, he had a pretty colorful Twitter history, pretty racist, pretty homophobic. And it was bad enough that the MLB felt like they needed to suspend him for 4 games. Now, maybe bigger news is that when he returned, so he apologized to his teammates, made good with the media, I guess. He cried when he did so I guess his teammates are okay with that.
Oh, come on.
When he returned...
Let's get out of here with that. Why is that a thing? Okay, dude. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt you, man. The crying. Okay, keep going.
But the big thing is that when he returned, his first appearance since the suspension, the Brewers fans gave him a standing O. And that's where I get a little lost.
Okay, lost is one word, dude. That's where I got a little angry. I mean, to be honest, like, let's look at what in sports, dude, do we not use the standing ovation to signify that you've done something extraordinary, right, or exceptional? Some sort of achievement that is worthy of having that sort of that sort of commendation publicly. And I thought it was ridiculous, man. I mean, yeah. I would okay, dude, it's always interesting to me, like, and we can get into this again because we talk about it a lot, but like, why do these people have these Twitters? Like, what does Josh Hader have to gain from having that sort of Twitter? And again, I don't follow Brewers baseball, man. I don't give a shit about Brewers baseball. How are they doing this season? He's a good player. I know he's a good player, but how is the team doing?
Central.
Okay, so they're a good team. Okay, fair enough. I mean, dude, like the whole thing was like, I was sort of ready to move on until I saw like the highlight from last night, and these people are giving him a standing ovation, and that left a not phenomenal taste in my mouth.
Yeah, so that's a whole nother layer to the story that I was not aware of. Like I said, this is a new story to me. It's one I completely missed coming into today. That top ranked journalism that we're bringing to people all the time.
I love it.
But yeah, I don't know. I've felt for a long time that these Twitter stories are ridiculous. Like the second that you are realizing that you are going to be a professional athlete, or that you have a talent that is going to get you to the next level, delete your Twitter, delete all the tweets off your Twitter, and then delete it in general, and just make a new Twitter for being famous if you have to. Do something, or just don't use Twitter. Like, I get it. I'm sure that he deleted these tweets off the internet at some point, and I'm sure the argument will be had by plenty that is always had, that he was a kid and this might not represent the man that he's become. And I understand all that, but I do not understand how you get to be famous knowing that there is stuff in your past that is out there that you need to get off of it. And then, yeah, what makes it just more than that regular story is the fact that he came back and they all stood and cheered. That doesn't ever look good.
No,
Mac?
it's a bad look. It's a bad look for baseball. It's a bad look for the Brewers. And there was also something that came to that. These aren't just old tweets. He tweeted these when he was 7 years old. And like you said, the fact that he had the same Twitter since he was 7 and now he's in the major leagues and a man, that's pretty wild. And that he didn't go back and delete and look through everything. Because like you said, to get to that next level, if anyone has the opportunity to get to that next level, you go through everything. It's like running for office. You have to make sure that you wipe your slate as clean as you possibly can.
Yeah, I like that you use the term like it's like running for office, because I think that until Twitter and until the past, since 2008 maybe, like if you weren't running for president, you could get away with it doing having these things in your past. And the only way that people would really find out about your deepest, darkest secrets is you had to be running for president for people to look that deep. And now any Twitter troll can find out your deepest, darkest, worst mistake, because you're just keeping your name attached to it from the time you're 7 years old. 7 years old?
I think he's 17 back, because it's 2011 and he's 24. He's my age.
It says 7-year-old.
I might be reading
this article might be false, or they might have miswrote.
He was 17.
Okay, well that makes it worse.
So that means that the tweets were 7 years old, which makes a little more sense. But also, fuck, dude, Twitter's been relevant for a long time. That's immediately what I thought. Sorry for my phone. Okay, so Will, what do you attribute that to? Why do we care now? How have we gone?
It's not that we don't care. It's just now that we have the means. Twitter gave us the means. There's TMZ pictures of everything else just added on. It used to just be a paparazzi could get a picture of someone somewhere, or some hearsay about someone being bad or something like that, and no one's going to go out and talk about it because you don't have proof. And now it's just super easy to have proof and tweet things out and look back in people's history. And yeah, people say a lot of dumb things when they're 17. I personally have looked back through my Twitter. I didn't say smart things. I didn't say racist and bigoted things, but I didn't say smart things. Everyone's dumb on Twitter when they're 17, and just we're in an age where Twitter allows any given random human to find out and get at them.
Is that a valid excuse in your opinion, though?
No, it's not. It's a terrible, they're terrible things of what you say at any point. Do I think that that it might be that it's the MLB's place to suspend him for something he said when he was 17 on Twitter? No.
No, I agree.
Do I think that it's a huge, do I think that represents the people that the person he's become? Probably not. It might though. But that's the problem with this. is that he's obviously just not smart enough to go back and realize that these are very dumb things. So that's what it questions.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying, dude. I'm sort of like, what are the Brewers to do with it then? Because I agree with everything you're saying, dude. Like it's a story because it has to be talked about, but what can be done? There's no effective thing that can be done to this person. He's 24 and it happened when he was 17.
I mean, what can happen is what happens now. People find old tweets and it hurts your draft stock. It gets you suspended for a couple games. You might not get signed for as big of a contract in the offseason.
Okay,
those are the penalties for athletes. Those are the penalties out there. Is just your popularity goes down and your stock drops a little bit. But if you're a good enough athlete, no, nothing happens.
I mean, I think the thing that I find weird here is I definitely agree with you, and I agree that the 4-game suspension, that's a weird territory to be drifting into. And I'm kind of surprised that hasn't gotten more play from maybe certain groups or, things like that, because that is, and this is probably a more relevant even NFL topic, but at some point sports leagues police their players with these weird kind of moral dilemmas. And I think the NFL with marijuana is probably a much more realistic place to look at this, but this is a baseball version. And that's something that kind of struck out to me, is not that I don't, condone or support or, obviously what he said is terrible. And it's something he should have been smart enough to take down, and something that he should have, let's be honest, as a 17-year-old, been smart enough to, even at that point, not have those views, or if he's joking around, not to put something like that out there. But I just find it really bold that the MLB is, suspending somebody for something 8 years ago.
Andy's a reliever, so I feel as long as your bench is okay, you don't need that guy for 4 games. It's not like that big of a deal for him to miss 4 games as a relief pitcher, or even, as a pitcher in general, unless he was maybe a closer.
I mean,
so
he was an all-star. Man. Clearly, he's contributing in some sort.
Yeah, but it's not like the end of the world. It's not like a huge suspension 4 games for a relief pitcher, even if he is, no matter how good he is.
I mean, yeah, but in a season that has this many games, I agree. It's not that big of a hurt, even if you're the best player. Dude, it's the argument for why Mike Trout's not more popular. Even the best player in the league can only affect a baseball game so much. So, I mean, I don't think that the 4 games – I think the 4-game suspension was exactly what the MLB wanted, symbolic. They wanted to say they suspended him for 4 games when really the Brewers could have just sat him out for a full series, like a weekend. It wouldn't have been that hard for them to just go without him, split maybe 2-2, and be fine with it. And the MLB got to say that they did something about something that I don't know if needed to do anything about.
Okay, hold on for a second. Are you sure that he was suspended 4 games?
Yeah, I'll confirm this, but yes, he got the standing ovation from coming back from the suspension.
Yeah.
Yes, it was 4 games.
Because then I agree with Alec, dude. I mean, that does seem like sort of a slippery slope there in terms of things that guys can be punished for, right? That begins to get, I think, sort of uncomfortable for any athlete if we're going to start going back 7 to 8 years.
I mean, what would the NBA Players Association have about that? I just can't imagine that would go over well, and I'm amazed that
it's different culture.
More of a that's not more of a prop, because I mean, yeah, it's a different culture, but still, I mean, there's a reason for players associations, and it's to keep players feeling like they are safe. And if the MLB can come in and suspend you for something that you said when you were 17, when you weren't a part of the MLB, when you weren't being paid by them, and it's this many years later, I just don't. I don't know how the Players Association can sit back and not look at this as a dangerous precedent for what the MLB could do.
Okay, yeah, but you're also talking about the same league that loves its history and loves to protect its image, and it's sort of like it's old white guy sort of deal thing. And this
culture.
is the way. Is this not the way that you do that, dude? It's fucked up, man.
So,
I mean, in my opinion, right? Like it's more than just a slippery slope, dude. Like it's not something that I would be comfortable with. I'm not comfortable with the legality of that at all, or the equitability of it. But at the same time, like this is what they do. Like
before we get any further, we're gonna have to walk that back. So the MLB walked that back, and he's not being suspended.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah. I didn't think he was being suspended, man. And so I'm not really sure how you rectify what you were talking about before. It's an interesting conversation to have, though, right? The fact that they thought about suspending him alone to me is still significant, because that sort of sets a precedent that these things are being put on the table in terms of suspensions and affecting the public image of players, and that's something that I think that's going a little bit too far, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. It's a dangerous precedent. I'm glad they walked it back. But to get back to kind of the original thing that I think stunned a lot of people and is the reason this is sparking up a lot of controversy again is they walked it back. He came to the field and Brewers fans thought it was appropriate to give him a standing ovation.
Yeah, it's crazy
for
man.
that.
I'm not really sure.
And don't get me wrong, if their reasoning you're saying is they were giving him a standing ovation for not being unjustly prosecuted or punished, then okay, but why does that warrant a standing ovation when he still did say the things that he did? Because then it just looks like you're okay with the things that he said. And what he said still wasn't okay. I just personally don't believe that the MLB or another body can necessarily punish him for those now.
I mean, dude, even if they were giving him a standing ovation to signify that they were okay with him apologizing in the very publicly emotional way that he did, it still wouldn't be worthy of a standing ovation. And also, it would just look like they were being total apologists to this guy. Like you said before, Will, like that never looks good, dude. It happens like once a year to some fan base, and let's be honest, it's usually somewhere in Middle America where something like this happens, and this is what happens every single summer, dude. And it's just a bad look. It's a really bad look.
Yeah, no, it's a bad look for all sides. Obviously, it's bad when like athletes, famous people get drug out on Twitter for things that they said when they were kids and are getting like taken out for it. And then the flip side of it is that it doesn't allow people to hide when they are doing a lot of this shady stuff that a lot of people in power could hide for so long, that we were talking about. But I still do not understand how they get themselves into this problem, though. Just how.
I agree. And is this not the image that baseball is trying to fight desperately right now? That they are a league that doesn't allow fun and wants the game played a very, very certain way, and maybe possibly there are certain races that don't necessarily align with that way that they want the game played. Is that not exactly what they're trying to fight? If this is the baseball story that we are finally talking about on this podcast, how is that good for baseball in any way?
No, it can't be.
How is what good for baseball? Can you clarify what you mean?
I'm just saying that, dude, baseball is at a point right now where they are trying to desperately get rid of this image that a lot of the general sports fan public has about it being a game for old white guys, right? Like, I think that's very fair to say.
And that there's combativeness with the league going a lot of Hispanic peoples and
and so I just ask you, in a world where they're trying to get rid of that stigma as hard as they can, this is such a terrible story to have in the public. Like this is something that everyone is talking. This is something that everyone is talking about, and it runs totally contrary to what they're trying to do public relations wise right now. What they have to be doing and what they should be doing. That's the reason they're losing viewers. For one thing, is because people just think it's an old man's game.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because it is. Like it's kind of proving itself that it is. And I don't know. I think that it has a chance to, obviously it is a sport that is ingrained in the American being way of life. It's a sport that a lot of Americans do love, that a lot of Americans love going to the games. I crack on the sport all the time, but going to a baseball game's fun. And I don't think any sports fan wants a sport to die, especially one that had a heyday that big. But it just, like you said, the fact that this is the baseball story that this podcast is doing is incredible. There's no other story. We're not talking about Mike Trout being possibly the greatest player ever in baseball, just statistically. We haven't talked about somehow the Braves actually being good, and the fact that
how many games do you watch at this point? How many games?
One whole one.
You watched a whole game recently?
One whole game.
Wow. Excellent job. That's correct. Clap it out. Great job. Wonderful.
Good job, buddy.
Yeah, but let's not harp on that because that's not the story. The story is a team giving a standing ovation for some odd reason, and another famous person, athlete, actor, something, not being smart enough to keep their Twitter clean. Just delete everything. Go back, delete it, wipe the slate clean, and maybe you won't end up getting blasted on the internet.
I think that's just where we are with baseball. Another storyline, the Yankees and Red Sox are the two best teams in baseball. Nobody's talking about it. But I think Will said...
We will talk about it, Alec. We will talk about it. Don't you worry about that.
What I think Will said, though, in the very start of that, is he talked about how baseball had such a large heyday. And I think we just need to look at that's where we're at. It's baseball. Baseball is dying in America.
Couldn't have said it better myself. You are listening to From the Nosebleeds podcast. We will be right back. Good segment. Be right back.
So we're doing what? We're doing Melo.
Melo and
Tiger being in
Tiger. I think we got to go whatever. I can't comment on it at all, but I think we should talk about it.
What we have
Tiger
to talk
wasn't
about
first
Tiger.
part of the final round.
There's no way that we can do anything without Tiger.
And I'm down to do like your best movie soundtrack. Dude.
Oh no. We do need to do that because we need to keep the whole power ranking thing going. I think it's a fun one.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we can just sit here and work on those because I think we all kind of can speak to Melo. I think we can all kind of say something about Tiger kind of naturally. So I don't think we really need to like.
I'm more interested in hearing what people have to say about the Open than I do about Melo going to Houston.
I think that's something we can talk about with relative.
I mean, it hit on both of them. I'm just saying.
I feel like
I'm more interested to hear what Andrew has to say about
the
golf than I do about Melo going to Houston.
I think we should do like a full regular segment on the Open and Tiger, obviously, because there's fun things to say on each side. There's fun things to poke at Tiger. There's fun things in support, and there's just fun storylines for the Open in general that we can speak about. And then I think Melo to Houston is a smaller story, obviously, because
is it though? Because I think Carmelo Anthony and Mike D'Antoni are going to battle.
I mean, But that's really the only thing about it, though. I mean, like, everyone knew it was happening for a while.
So we get into it, pick one, and then go into it right from there. Because we do this all the time. And then,
What do you mean pick one?
We start, like, bickering about what we're going to say, and then you guys just go on a tangent.
Well, I don't mean to hijack. Really we can go wherever you guys want to go. I wasn't trying to hijack.
No, I'm just saying.
It's usually that's how we get into what we're talking about in a segment.
Yeah.
We start talking, and then we've got a contentious point.
So what are we not doing that this time?
Well, what are your thoughts on the Open?
Yeah.
Okay.
What are we doing? I do think we still need to do a power ranking. We are not going live for 3 minutes. Okay, hold on. We're gonna do 3 minutes of just talking without going live.
Wow.
First off, I think we need to still do a power rankings this week. If y'all want to do movie soundtracks, I'm down to do it. I think it's a funny one, but I think we need to do that.
I've got a top 3. I've got a top 3, and I know that's not all that deep.
That's fine. I think if you
have.
I probably have 10 that I could put together easy. Here, I'll send the link to you that'll help you.
8.
Yeah.
Andrew, I'll send the link to you that'll help you.
Okay.
But I think we should do a full segment on that. And then I think we need to do either the Open. I think we need to do both of them, but we can do one full and then one like shorter segment on Mellow and then the Open.
I say segment on the Open, segment on Mellow.
I think I have a full movie soundtrack.
And then we wrap with a fun segment that includes a power ranking of some sort. Is that okay or no?
Yeah, no, I like that. That's what I wanted to get straight. Do we want to go longer on Mellow or the Open?
Why don't we just see how we're going conversationally? I mean, because we've recorded, we probably started at, I don't know. Yeah.
That was probably like 15 minutes, I feel like.
I would say like 12 minutes and 12 minutes probably for the next 2, maybe something like that. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. Yep.
Where do we want to start? Do you just want to do like a formal intro back and then?
Let's go golf. I think we should just start with golf. I mean, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about both, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess I'm going to come to one of you last and then just say what's up and transition it. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right, cool. I guess, Will, I'll come to you last. Something's going on with my fucking throat. I'm gonna try to stave it off the rest of this time. What are you drinking, Will?
Mountain Dew Black Label.
Wow, that.
What the fuck is that?
Oh my god. Okay, wait a second.
Yeah, let's.
How much sugar?
Let's address this.
What is that?
Hold off on the Capri Sun.
What is that? What are you drinking, Will?
It's called Mountain Dew Black Label. It's a deeper, darker dew.
Everything about that sounds.
What
disgusting.
about it is deeper and darker, Will?
It's just like it is like berry flavors, like blackberries,
like
raspberries, stuff like that. No, it's not an energy drink. It's just a soda.
Does it make
For those of you who can't see, this does not look like just a soda.
Just a can of pop.
Can you feel your heart beating rapidly against your diaphragm? Because my chest.
But that's my crippling anxiety.
Interesting. Well, and from there, we welcome you back to our podcast from the Nosebleeds. The voice you just heard is my good friend Will Mosley, who is coming to us from Spartanburg, South Carolina. Is that fair to say? I mean, I know you're sort of not. You're there. You're Spartanburg.
Good old Boiling Springs.
Boiling Springs, South Carolina. Producer, contributor, Mac Young. How's it going, man? Asheville, North Carolina. How are things?
Things are good.
And our good friend Alec Uecki. How's it going, man?
Pretty good, guys. Pretty good.
I'm really sorry, guys. My throat is really fucked up right now. Can one of you talk and I'll come back in a second?
Yeah, Alec, you just want to go on like you would have continued in and go into you can go into the Open or Mellow, whichever one really. But if you just want to start off like like he had already spoke to you and said, "What's up, Alec?" and then just go from there, I think.
Yeah.
Matt, would that be a good split?
Yep. Let's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Alec, you reckon?
2, 1. Pretty good, guys. Pretty good. Just got back from a weekend of golf. I'm really feeling myself out there on the links. Hopefully, almost as much as Tiger Woods is feeling himself. I think that's something we have to talk about. The most relevant golf topic. I think we'll have for a long time. I'd love to see him, get back to his old form, and it looks like he's right there. I loved watching Tiger light it up at Karnowski in the motherland. Andrew, what are your thoughts? I know that you've got to have a thought on this.
Okay, first things first. Sorry about that. My throat is geeking out a little bit right now, so my apologies if something happens here in the next few minutes. Okay. It was fun, man. First of all, it was an excellent. I thought it was the closest major I thought, and one of the more fun ones to watch in a long time. There were so many guys who, if you think about it, Molinari, congratulations to him. Like, he's a guy who is absolutely tremendous. And if you know anything about golf, like, this guy was going to win one eventually, right? Like, he's too talented not to, and he's the hottest player in the world right now. So not a whole lot of surprises. But if you think about it, as with 8 under being the winning number, like, there were so many guys who realistically had a chance to win. Like, all the guys who got close to 8 or really had a chance at some point to make a run, there were so many of them. And so I thought that yesterday was a really, really entertaining afternoon. In terms of Tiger, man, I think it's fun to get excited. There's certainly some reason to be encouraged, right? Like, he was the leader alone on 11 tee box yesterday. And so there's something to be said for that for sure. And I think that he'll sort of go back and look at things in his game and realize that he was the leader with so little time left in the tournament. And, he'll sort of say to himself next time that happens, he'll do better to close it out. I don't know, man. We do this with him, right? Like, he could go to the PGA and he could miss the cut, and it wouldn't be surprising to me. But it's fun for now to talk about him being back, and I certainly understand that. But I just don't know, man. Like, I'm not going to sit here and give some sort of hot take like he threw the tournament away yesterday, dude. That golf course is really difficult. And, he just, there were guys out there yesterday who were striking it a lot better than he was. And when it's really windy and really dry, you've got to be able to hit it in the right places. And he sort of battled a lot yesterday, especially on the back nine.
Watching Tiger Woods play golf this weekend and on Sunday, he will not win one more major championship. He's going to win at least 3 more major championships.
Oh, damn.
Not 1, not 2.
His ability to come back from this final fixing of his back, not just putting a Band-Aid on the cut.
Yep, so he's done.
Truly going in and getting it fixed.
He's got a super back now.
He's worked his way back. You've seen steady improvement all season. It's his first season back from it. And if he can stay in the hunt like that in the British Open, when the wind is whipping at 11 miles per hour on the back nine like it was for him, and you can finish within 3 shots of winning the tournament, I think he proved that he can go out there, and there's nobody in golf yet that can consistently just show that you can shut down, like that you just can't catch them, because there's a lot of great players rotating at the top. And if he keeps it up, he's got not 1, not 2, but 3 more majors, and one of them's going to be a Masters.
I love that the next thing out of anyone's mouth after I say that I'm not going to hot take about Tiger Woods is you saying that he's going to win not 1, not 2, but 3 more majors. I mean, can we let him win one first? Like, why do we have to go exploding off into Polar Land? Like, okay, dude, fine. Maybe he'll win 3. He's got to win 1 before he can win 3. And yesterday he had a really good. Yesterday, yeah, okay, fine, boo. But yesterday he had a really good chance to do that, and he made a double bogey at the worst time to make a double bogey. And he played it with the guy who ended up winning the tournament and didn't make a bogey the whole round, dude. And that's how you do it. And Tiger was, dude, he was not tremendously sharp yesterday. I thought he putted really well. I mean,
he wasn't tremendously sharp yesterday. You're right. But I'm not looking for him to be the Tiger of old to win these that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about him pulling off these 4 straight rounds of 3 under or more like he was capable of doing. I mean, he shot what? Even that great Saturday and then even on Sunday, which, I mean, isn't like, that's not our typical, like, that's not what you think of when you would say Tiger's back. Like when you think, oh, Tiger's back, you're thinking he's putting up under par 4 days straight, putting the pressure on people crippling under him. And I'm not saying he's that again, but what I'm saying is there's no one out there who's doing that. And so there's such a rotating cast of great guys that are just falling out. I mean, Spieth looked like he was just pissing away a chance at getting at it yesterday, just staying just far enough out. And then I just feel like he has it. He's steadily improved, and we're going to see him take home a couple.
I mean, I'm not saying that I wouldn't like to see that, but those guys that you're talking about, there are a ton of different guys who are in that category. And so I understand what you're saying. There may not be one dominant player, but at any given major, you're going to have 8 or 9 guys who are playing very, very well. And there are still so many great players out there who haven't broken through yet and won one. And so it was exciting, dude, right? Like everyone watched. I'm sure when ratings come out, they're going to be through the roof. And that's exciting, dude. That's good for someone like myself who loves golf and works in it. But again, dude, I always sort of fight this little frustration that it feels like we're the high school girl who keeps getting cheated on. That's a terrible joke to sort of make with Tiger Woods, but like it feels like we're the high school girl who keeps getting cheated on and we keep going back to the guy. Because like we're going to do this again with Tiger, dude, and he might go to the PGA and have some sort of neck spasm, and then we're doing it again. And I will just say this, like on the side, something that made me laugh really, really hard this weekend was how Tiger like made sure to visibly have that neck tape like poking through the top of his shirt at all times so that we all knew that he was playing injured.
Oh, the neck tape turned the needle. That's what
crazy,
it did.
Dude.
Now that pumped the gas for a little bit. I don't know about you, but I got a little bit excited when I saw the neck tape. That really revs the engine for some of us out there who are true golf guys. I know you're out there trying, but us true golf guys out there, that red on Sunday really just fires our spirit up, and just we have faith because of it.
What do you mean neck tape? Like KT tape?
Yeah,
yes.
I guess like the stuff that
it's the kinesthetic tape the stuff that
neck. Like
he had it like on the back of his neck, like on the very top of his spine, pretty much. And he had like 2 pieces that were sticking out. I was more prominent Thursday than it was by Sunday, but I still found it just really fucking funny that he had it sort of protruding from his collar so that everyone could see that he was wearing it.
One more question on this. Did anyone else see Tiger have someone yell or cuss in the middle of his backswing on 18?
Yeah. Yeah, at 18 yesterday, man. And honestly, it would be if he had hit that ball out of bounds left or like 50 yards right, it would be such a big story today. But he ended up hitting a decent drive, and as dry as it was out there yesterday, he rolled it to a point where he could flip a wedge in there anyway. He really should have made birdie at 18 yesterday. He just didn't, the putt wasn't very good, obviously, because he missed it. But, yeah, just ridiculous, dude. I don't even really understand what would incline anyone to do that, especially someone who I'm assuming had paid money to be in there. But just it would God, I couldn't imagine if he was leading the tournament or if he had hit just a terribly poor shot there, like how big of a story that would have been today. And then also, dude, did you see there was a point yesterday, like very late in the round, I believe on 17, where some mom had her child there, like a crying baby behind the player. This guy's trying to like play. It's gosh, forgive me for not remembering, but it's the only guy. It's after Molinari had finished at 8, and was the only guy left on the course who had a chance to get to 8 under.
Kessner?
And, yeah, maybe. He had to get up and down on 17, and his third shot on 17, he was right of the green, and there was like a mom there, and she had a stroller with a baby in it, and the kid would not stop crying, and she wouldn't move, dude. It was just like they kept waiting and waiting. He had to back off his shot once because he's waiting for this kid to stop crying, and it's like, lady, do you not think that that's probably not the best place for you to be seated, like at that particular moment of anywhere, like on a giant golf course? So anyway, a bunch of distractions out there, man. But dude, it's fun to watch Tiger always, dude. Like, it's cool. He hadn't been that close in a major in 5 years, so we sort of have to enjoy these moments now, and hopefully there will be more in the coming years or whatever. But I mean, he had a really, really good chance to win yesterday, and you can take that as a positive if you're a Tiger fan, or you can say he had a really good chance to win yesterday and he didn't get it done.
Yeah, I'm going to be optimistic on it. I'm going to take it as Tiger's working back. It's just another step of improvement on the comeback season that was this season for Tiger Woods. And once he finishes coming back and builds it up, maybe make something happen at the PGA. Next season's the season. We'll see him start racking them back up.
What is this optimism?
Did you see that red on Sunday?
What is that?
That's not even did you see him play on Saturday?
Yeah, okay.
You have to admit, on Saturday he looked good.
Dude, he played well, man. He tied for 8th in the Open. That's an accomplishment. But I think that we're at a point with him where tying for 8th in the Open is a fucking accomplishment. Like,
of course we're at that point. You just said that this is the farthest he's gotten in 5 years. Yes, that's why I'm saying
you're going off to this place where he's going to start winning regularly on tour again, and I'm not sure that we're there. I'm not sure that we're ever going to be there.
You don't have to be sure that we're there. I am. And you'll see. And you'll see the vision. And when it happens, and he starts dropping these championships.
Whatever, man.
And don't get me wrong.
You're coming off as hot take guy right now. And you are that guy, but like you're coming off as hot take guy right now.
He's wearing the red today.
Fine. But I'm not saying that Tiger has shown that next week he's going to be blowing people out again. And I'm not saying that he's back to old Tiger. What I'm saying is since he came back this season is that he's consistently gotten better and better and more consistent and improved pieces of his game this entire season. And that's something that you cannot dispute, even though he's had some ups and downs, is that he's gotten better and better and better. And that no one expected him to be in the British Open in the hunt on Sunday. Not a single person at the beginning of this season would have said that Tiger was going to have the lead on 11 on Sunday in the British. No one would have said that. So just like no one would have said that, no one's going to say that he's going to win the Masters next year or that he's going to win three majors before he retires. But I'm going to say that he's going to win 3 majors before he retires.
Exactly.
Because there's got to be somebody that says it.
You know, there are little moments along the way so far as we've been working on this project together where you'll say things that'll just sort of encapsulate, I think, what we're going after. And one for me is me just asking you why are you so optimistic about Tiger? And your reply to me was, did you see that red on Sunday?
I have faith. It's like the faith that I have going from the GOAT of golf to the GOAT of hoodies. It's like seeing those off-season hoodie mellow videos and having faith that maybe with this new team, he's going to return back to being Mello.
We waste our time and talk Carmelo Anthony next.
That was fun. I don't believe that, by the way.
That was the hottest take.
I don't believe that at all.
Podcast.
I really hope that he does now, so that in 5 years when we're doing something big with this, we can go back to that tape and you can pop bottles, man. We can have some sort of
like the Simpsons.
We can have some sort of obnoxious celebration when he wins his third major at the age of 91. Did you see that red on Sunday?
Did you see that red? All right.
Yeah, I've got some stuff on Melo, dude. I think this is a more interesting story than you're actually.
Oh no, I like it, and I think it's a good story. I just thought that you had more on that you'd be more interested in the Open than you were that. But I'm cool with going with Melo. I think it's really interesting.
Be right back.
I have a question about these soundtracks. Are we talking like scores or soundtracks? Do you know what I'm saying? Like Star Wars is a score.
Yeah, I'm not going scores. I'm going musical soundtracks, like chosen songs.
I've got a full
I don't know if y'all looked at the link that I sent y'all. It has a good little list there of a lot of good ones.
I did, none of which I think are in my top 5.
None of them ended up in your top 5.
I haven't. Man. I've like kind of like. Oh no! Wait.
We're definitely gonna have disagreements if not a single one of those in that top 50 is in your top 5.
I mean, there's just a lot of movies, man.
I feel like this is such a personal thing, though.
I mean, except there are movies that are very famous for their soundtracks.
Hold on, and your favorite root vegetable isn't personal?
That's
no, your favorite root vegetable is no. But a power ranking of a soundtrack. I think that's a little more objective. We all know potato. Let's not get into the fact that potatoes are the #1 root vegetable.
Yeah, well, obviously they are, and obviously you're just trying to hedge your bets of how wrong you're going to be on your soundtracks.
Okay. Well, what's your #1?
Hold on. Okay,
hold on.
We got it. Okay, hold on.
I'm definitely going to go from 5 to 1 on this.
Okay, hold on. All right, this is slow down, everyone. This is from the Nosebleeds podcast. Okay, I just came back and put my headsets back on, and you're talking about a power ranking of movie soundtracks. Okay, couple questions first. So, like, how are you judging it? Like, famous songs that were put onto the soundtrack? Are we talking about original songs that became famous after the fact? Can it be both?
I'm not talking scores. We already settled that off air. We're not going to go with scores like Star Wars has an amazing score. We're going to go with famous songs that are on the soundtrack. They're famous right now. I don't care how they got famous. I don't care if they got famous because they were written for the movie or they were famous so they were put on the soundtrack. But
oh wow,
I mean, like there's some great soundtracks that just went out there and got a bunch of phenomenal songs to piece together, and then there's some soundtracks that.
But that's what makes a soundtrack, dude.
Yeah, that's
soundtrack is the composition of all the music.
Obviously, that's what I'm. So
you're not. It's not just one song. It's the whole composition.
No, I'm not. I never said it was one song. Let's not do this. Let's go back off air for a second and take this back on. I didn't say it was one song. What I'm saying is I'm not like it's not one song on the soundtrack. What I'm saying is I don't care if the songs off the soundtrack were famous before they were on the soundtrack or whether they were written for the soundtrack and they're famous because they were on that movie.
Okay, I hear you.
I don't care what the composition of. I never said it was one single song from a soundtrack. I'm saying the entire soundtrack, when you go through it, it holds. Just like when we go, like when Andrew and I have that Thriller versus Purple Rain album, it's not like about what's better, like the song Purple Rain or the song Thriller. We're talking about like all the way through. That's how I'm judging these.
Yeah, me too. Okay, just want to make sure.
Okay, cool. Now we can go back into this then.
Okay, how you want to start talking then?
No, I mean not like I want to just start the segment here somehow.
Okay. Well, Dan,
Yeah.
You pop your headphones back in. You wait to start over.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I just popped my headphones back in, and I guess okay, something about a movie soundtrack power ranking. Will mostly you have something for that on that?
Yeah, man. I think we can all go out there and say that there are some great movies out there, and they have some great songs on them. And I think that there's something to be said for certain soundtracks having better songs than certain other soundtracks. And I'd like to know what all you guys think on the best soundtracks of all time.
Does anyone else actually have a power ranking for this?
I've got 5.
I've got a decent list. I mean, it's not lengthy. It's okay. We're going 5 here. All right.
Yeah.
So Mosley, why don't do you want to go first or last? Right, since it was your idea.
I'll work my way up. I'll go ahead and go first.
Okay.
So number 5, I have "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?"
Good one.
Phenomenal soundtrack. Phenomenal. Go back and listen to it. Alec, you can wince all you want. Great soundtrack.
No, there's not a wince. I think it's a pretty good soundtrack.
I'm gonna go to number 4. Juno. That's gonna be somewhat of a controversial one. Some people might not have it on there. I think it's a phenomenal soundtrack. We're gonna go to number 3, 8 Mile.
Phenomenal. That was on my list.
Phenomenal all the way through, especially if you add the edited tracks at the end where you actually take on him doing the battle raps. Makes it a phenomenal album. Then I'm gonna go with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. I think they pieced that one together brilliantly. And then it actually has a couple from Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm going to go with my number 1, Remember the Titans.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
Yes. Yeah, that's
phenomenal.
I
didn't even think about it.
That was right up there for me. Not number 1, but right up there.
So I'll let one of y'all try to dispute.
Alec, you have a top 5?
I do have a top 5. And it's not as well pieced together as Will's, but I do have a top 5. Number 5, I'm going to go with Black Panther.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that soundtrack. And I'm a big Kendrick Lamar fan, so I bought the album, listened to the album, and then watched the movie and enjoyed the soundtrack much more after watching the movie, and I think they work very well together. Do you guys want to go around your number 4s? I'm actually kind of cobbling together. I've got 5, but I want to piece them together.
I can go with my 5 if no.
Yeah, what's your number 5?
Sit on yours for a sec. So my number 5 was The Graduate from 1968 with Dustin Hoffman, where it's the entire like almost I think every song was Simon and Garfunkel. But I think it's a phenomenal album or soundtrack. My number 4 was Forrest Gump. Another just classic.
Very
classic
solid. Yeah,
solid all the way through again. Then I have Moonlight, which was a movie from 2016. I thought that was a really good soundtrack. It has a bunch of hip hop, R&B, as well as some really good classical type orchestra songs. And then, God, I had a lot bigger list than I thought, so I'm kind of dwindling as I go. But the last 2, I'm going to kind of put in under a bigger umbrella of just composers that do movie soundtracks. So Hans Zimmer did Inception and Interstellar and all those types of movies, which I thought were all phenomenal, kind of spooky, haunting. And then number 1 is everything that John Williams has done, which would be Star Wars, Close Encounters, all those movies all the way through as well. And then I'll have just a few honorable mentions. Wes Anderson's movie Rushmore, great soundtrack. And then Garden State.
Oh, come on. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Garden State, bro?
Yeah.
Is that your favorite rom-com?
No, I just like the soundtrack. I'm a Notebook guy.
That's a great podcast teaser right there. Possibly a power ranking of rom-coms because I could go for days on that.
Oh, I've got a top 10.
All right.
Top 20.
Here's the deal. For me, like, when I think of great soundtracks, I think of like how the songs work in the actual movie, right? Like there are certain scenes in movies where like I love those scenes because of the song, and that's why I think some of these are going to be like a little bit different. My number 5 was 8 Mile. Phenomenal movie. Better soundtrack. I'm not even sure if that's possible, but like the soundtrack stands alone as a super fucking good album, right? It doesn't even really need the movie. It's sort of elevated by the movie, which is cool to me. Dude, number 4 and number 3 for me, I actually went with Tarantino films because I think he does a really interesting job of choosing songs that contrast very well at points in his movies. And so number 4, I said Pulp Fiction. I think that soundtrack's really good. You get that scene with Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon, where like the girl, like, that's like sort of the middle part of the movie there. And just like the music, the way it flows through the movie, I really like. Number 3, I said Reservoir Dogs because you have that awesome scene where the guy cuts off the cop's ear and like the songs going in the background, or like how he uses the radio through the movie. Dude, number 2, surprised no one said this, School Rock, right? Like I think that's a really solid soundtrack that includes like some of the greatest rock and roll songs ever, especially like British rock and roll. And then, dude, number 1, this is, again, some people aren't going to agree with this, but it'll make you laugh. Deadpool, right? Like the original
Okay.
Deadpool. Dude, like the funniest thing by far to me about that movie was how like the song choices and how weird they were for the situations like in the movie. Weirdly perfect, I guess I would say. So that would be my top 5 in terms of like movie soundtracks ever. But there are so many good ones, man. Like, I think you could go for a long time in terms of movies that have really, really solid ones.
And I think there's sometimes where a song so well fits the moment in the movie that it makes the soundtrack great for you. And sometimes it might put things out of perspective. But I actually also have a Tarantino movie in there. My number 4, and it's not my number 4, it's my number 3, but my number 4 is going to be Walk the Line, the Johnny Cash movie. Big Johnny Cash fan. It's tough not to put him in there for me. My number 3 is Django Unchained.
Dude, that song with the Rick Ross song.
Exactly, when he's shooting Samuel L. Jackson. That's what I'm talking about. It hits you, and there's a moment where the movie and the song, we're talking perfect synergy.
Yeah.
My number 2, like Will, Remember the Titans. It's my favorite movie of all time. The soundtrack fits it so well. I am a total sucker for classic rock, kind of folk rock in soundtracks, and it can make movies for me. And my number 1, and this was my number 1 by miles, is Lords of Dogtown.
It is a good
soundtrack to Lords of Dogtown is my favorite movie soundtrack of all time. I have it as an album on my phone. I listen to it often. Great soundtrack.
Are you did you skateboard growing up?
Not at all.
It's interesting because I didn't either, but I still like that movie. There's something about action sports that does that to kids, dude. I don't know what it is, but people want to be like that, right? I think that's it's cool, dude. It's just cool, man. People are really into it, right?
Mentioning action sports, inspiring kids, and great movie soundtracks. I'd like to throw out an honorable mention that ended up on the list, probably closer to the 10 range.
Oh,
Brank, dude,
has an incredible amount of fun pop punk songs. If you haven't gone back and listen to the classic, it's a Disney Channel movie. Brink.
Yeah, it's got that song where it's like
Team Pup and Suds.
You gotta look before you leap. Oh yeah, that
There
song.
we go.
Yeah, exactly, dude. That's the type of
I
fire.
couldn't get that.
That's the type of fire that we bring you here.
Not a
from
music
the Nosebleeds
podcast.
podcast, dude. But hey, if you have ideas for your own favorite movie soundtracks, please hit us up on Twitter @_ the Nosebleeds. We would be so appreciative for your feedback, and we might actually get back to you. That's something that we've been known to do. Alec, you have any last thoughts here?
No, just on the list of great action sport movie soundtracks, The Art of Flight matches really well. Amazing soundtrack. I wish I had put that in there.
That's what I'm saying, man. There's a lot of good ones out there, but there is only one from the Nosebleeds podcast. We'll be right back.
That's a great power ranking that I could probably do 20 of. Now that I really think of it.
We all had everyone's was really different.
Everyone say their favorite rom-com. We're gonna go 3, 2, 1.
Hold on.
And then after 1, everyone say their favorite rom-com.
Oh no, there's a ton of stuff I've got to think about for that. Oh, I don't know if it's rom-com. It's probably just a drama.
That's just rom.
Yeah, it's just all straight up hardcore.
All right. We ready?
All right.
No, I can't think of a rom-com.
Come on.
You can't think of a rom-com at all, dude?
There's 4 new rom-coms come out every month.
I can't think of one.
That's ridiculous, dude. You can't. That's actually sort of shocking to me, dude.
Well, see, it's like there's weird. Like, is it a comedy? Is it a rom-com?
Yeah, Notebook's not a comedy. I would just say Notebook.
I mean, yeah, it's not.
That's not.
You're just totally ruining this conversation right now, dude. How do you not know any rom-coms?
I'm looking one up, dude.
All right, here we
Give
go.
me.
You're looking up rom-com.
So you're looking
Anything
up
with
you're looking up your favorite movie right now?
No, I'm looking up just some lists of some shit.
Okay, in 5 seconds, we got to cut out all these fakers right here. All right, we're gonna go 3, 2, 1, and after 1, say your favorite rom-com.
All right, hold on. I'm deciding between 2. It's really hard. Give me like 2 seconds, and I'm good.
Okay, Alec, are you ready?
Yeah, I can say I've got one in my back pocket that I can always say just in case.
Oh, okay.
There's so many.
That means it's your favorite.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. No
10
strings
things I
attached.
hate about you.
40-year-old virgin.
40-year-old virgin is such.
I
a
went
good
way
movie,
more romantic than you guys.
Okay, hold on. All right, lot to break down here, man. Okay, what did you go, Alec? First of all,
I said Love Actually. That's straight up romance right there.
Love Actually is a rom-com.
Yeah, no, it's a rom-com for sure. 40-year-old virgin's interesting, man. I don't see that in my head as a romantic comedy, but I sort of get where you're coming from. I mean, it's
a comedy.
It's a comedy. Now,
there's love.
See, if 40-year-old virgin is in it, then I changed my answer to Forgetting Sarah Marshall because I consider that one.
Damn.
But I don't consider that one. I consider it a comedy. But I consider Hitch a romantic comedy.
Is Hitch
is good?
Is that the last good movie that Will Smith made?
Yes.
No, Pursuit of Happiness.
That's fair. That's after that. And then I guess do you find I Am Legend to be a decent movie?
I was just gonna say, are you guys not gigantic I Am Legend? No,
I thought I Am Legend was before that.
I mean, the book's good. I hate to be that guy, but I guess I am that guy. I really am that guy, aren't I? Is there anyone in your life who's more that guy than me? Because I feel very that guy a lot sometimes.
Yeah,
the book was brilliant.
Andrew, what was your answer to that?
No strings attached.
Okay. I went with 10 Things I Hate About You. My second option was Silver Linings Playbook.
That is a great movie, man.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That is a really good movie. That's a good movie. So yeah,
Sweet Home Alabama, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, Jerry Maguire, they're all phenomenal.
I feel like
I think it's fair to say
half
that
of all movies are rom-coms.
The people can expect some sort of rom-com power rankings coming strong to them in the coming weeks for sure. But welcome back. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. This is from the Nosebleeds podcast. My name is Andrew Levin. I'm here with my good friends, Mr. Alec Uwecki, William Mosley, William Mac Young. How's it going, everyone? I know it's going well. I don't need to ask you again. So yeah, good conversation about movies. And I know that you guys have something on Mellow. I know I've got something on Mellow. So Will Mosley, Carmelo Anthony is now a Houston Rocket. That is something that has happened. And I guess the first question I would ask you is it relevant from a basketball standpoint?
Yeah, because I think that it takes away Golden State's biggest contender in the West. I think that's how big of a negative move it is for him. I think that so he got out there via Atlanta trading Schroeder and another piece for his contract just to dump him, and Melo finesse on a fat payout. He's going to end up signing he signed a $2 million. He's signing like a $2.5 million or something like that for 1 year. So I mean, I think that all in all, I think it was a good trade for all parties. Getting Melo's contract off obviously helped Oklahoma City, getting them a backup point guard. I don't think it was the worst for Atlanta. And then getting to get rid of a couple pieces that might have had harder contracts than they needed as well. And then the only team that I think this hurts, which I think you'll agree with me on, is the team that got Carmelo Anthony, the Houston Rockets.
Why?
Because do you really think that Carmelo Anthony right now makes your team a better team? Because I don't.
He's coming off the bench and playing like 15 minutes a game. I think he has something
He's
to
not
contribute.
coming off the
Is he gonna? He's never said that he's willing to do that or that he's going to be a team player and do that. You say that, but he had this same coach, which I know is Andrew's point, in New York, and he refused to do it for him. So why would he now accept that role and say that he's not as good as some other players that can be playing the wing for them?
Because he just accepted the veteran minimum, so I think he's willing to negotiate, obviously with some respect to as long as he gets his minutes of coming off the bench. And I still think there's something in there that he has the ability to contribute.
Here's the tough part: is he was just on a team with a 1 and a 2 or a 1 and a 3, whatever you want to call Paul George, where he was clearly the third option. On Houston, which is a better team, if Eric Gordon's on the court, he's the fourth option. Now, what really scares me for Houston is the one player who they lost this offseason was Trevor Ariza, a small forward. A small forward who's a 3-and-D small forward that helps you win championships like he did with the Lakers. The only logical replacement they have is Carmelo Anthony, who not only was not, and I know we've said this earlier, was not a winner in his prime with the Denver Nuggets or with the New York Knicks, but was a loser in his chubby Melo, hoodie Melo post-prime with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I think that if you think that, one, he's going to contribute positively to this team, I think that you're mistaken and lost.
This team was literally one injury away from probably winning the championship last year. They were almost by definition as close as you could be to winning the championship without winning it. And so, dude, it's so easy to be critical of Carmelo Anthony, and I'll be the leader of that train. And if we want to run down on Carmelo, that's okay by me. But even if he starts, dude, he's only going to play 20 minutes, man. And yes, the thing for me that's more fascinating than anything else about this story is Mike D'Antoni paid millions of dollars to get away from Carmelo Anthony. And I know that they're counting on this I shouldn't say so-called, they're counting on Chris Paul's leadership to sort of right that ship for them, dude. And I'm not so sure, dude. I don't think that's how that works. That relationship was really soured at the end of it, man. And as Will said, Carmelo has never come off as the type of person who's willing to not get his for the betterment of the team, man. He almost chose to go to Miami. That's how much he loves being the center and getting his, man. He almost chose to go do something that was fundamentally not a winning situation, at least for next year.
Yeah, I mean, even if he's back and he's contributing, I'm not convinced from what I saw from him on the court last season that he's enough of a plus to be a bigger plus than they lost with Trevor Ariza. I like the point that Alec made with Trevor Ariza leaving, and that was a type of player that they badly need on that team, is a 3-and-D player who's going to help Chris Paul slow down some of those Warriors and hopefully, make up for the fact that, yeah, James Harden does lack on defense a lot. And I don't think that adding another player who's bad on defense and is just a scorer is the answer to your problems, especially when that player who's bad on defense, who's just a scorer, is getting older, is getting more out of shape every year, and his shooting hasn't been that great. Like, his numbers are dropping. He's not making the shots that he used to, and he's not getting the shots that he's not creating the shots that he used to because he can't against these people anymore. And so even if he is willing to contribute, I don't think that he is enough to make this team better than they were last year. I think that they're worse.
I mean, as we pointed out earlier, he is only getting paid, I think it's less than $2.5 million. So at the end of the day, it could just be an experiment. And if you lose him, you lose him. You're not even losing that much money if he doesn't work out. And then you can always pick up. They have enough assets that they can pick up someone or move pieces around to get a Trevor Ariza type player.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was going to be my point, sort of, Mac, is like all these people out here who are sort of criticizing the move today. I get it. I mean, Melo's easy to criticize, like I said, but also they're paying so little money for him and they didn't have to give up anything to get him. So
yeah, so at the end of the day, it's not that big of a loss. Yeah, it doesn't work out.
I think it's good business, man. Like, he can still score. I agree with Will. Like, he can't get a shot as much as he used to be able to, but he's still offensively, he's still gifted.
Yeah, he's still gifted, and he's going to get some points. Don't get me wrong. And yes, by a business standard, it might not be a bad move. I do not believe that it will work out for either party very well. I think that for it to work out better for the Rockets, he's going to have to take a back seat. And I don't think that he's going to like that very much. And for it to work out the way that I think Melo wants it to work out the best for Melo, the Rockets aren't going to win a championship, and they're not going to win the West.
Yeah, I wholly agree with Will. I think the issue here is it's not the $2.3 million flyer that it looks like, because a $2.3 million flyer is something you take on a player who's either coming off an injury and won't need to play, and you're just getting the upside that he might bring with him, or on a player who's had some down years, something like that. Melo's not the type of guy who's going to let you take a flyer on him. He's not the type of guy who's going to play 12 minutes and take 5 shots until he gets hot and then you play him. The issue with siding Melo that I see is that you have a guy who needs chunks of possession to do anything positive with. So are you going to be giving Melo this time, especially in the postseason?
No, and you're not. And the reason that you're not is because you already got that guy on your team, and his name is James Harden, and he's way better than Carmelo Anthony.
And they have another guy who's better at dribbling out the clock too, and he has the ball in his hands too because he's the point guard as well. There are 2 guys who all they did all last season was they dribbled about 180 times, and then they passed it to each other or one of their wings, and they jacked up a 3. And they usually made it because they're both really good at dribbling the ball. But there's obviously always the really annoying saying that basketball analysts have to have, that there is only one ball, which they so often point out to us. And yes, James Harden and Mike D'Antoni and Chris Paul figured out a way to have 2 ball-dominant guards in the same offense, and it worked flawlessly by staggering them. And yet it does get to a point that you surrounded them with a lot of key pieces. You didn't surround those 2 with a lot of people who needed to get their touches on the offensive side. And I don't know how well adding a player who the only thing he's really going to bring you is if you get him his touches on the offensive side. I think there's 2 better offensive options already. And so I just think that what you need is defense. and the Flyers not going to work on this. The hope that this is somehow going to push your team towards competing against the Warriors is just an absolutely ridiculous move. And like I said, not only do I think it doesn't help the Rockets' chances, I think they're worse than they were last year by adding a piece like that. And that's saying something from a guy who used to be the best scorer in the league at one time.
Alec Uecki, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I think when you're in a situation where the only place that you can go is trying to beat Golden State, you just have to look at this. Is this $2 million is going to help you beat Golden State? Even if it's a flyer on a formerly great player? No, it's not.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with what I said earlier, that they're not paying him that much, and it pans out, and you get a player who can shoot the ball, give you some points here and there. Or if not, and he like we've said, he is a ball dominant player, likes the ball in his hands. Then you can get rid of him. It's not that big of a loss at the end of the day. But I guess we'll see what happens.
Are we ever going to stop hating on Carmelo?
No.
Answer no.
I'm trying to be nice.
And so we can finally end on something we all agree on. Thank you so much for listening. This has been another week of From the Nosebleeds podcast. Hit us up on Twitter at _the Nosebleeds. Check us out on SoundCloud. Go to the search bar, hit the Nosebleed Sports Podcast. We are the real From the Nosebleed Sports Podcast. For all of us here, Andrew Levin, Mac Young, Will Mosley, Alec Uecki, thank you so much for listening. We will catch you next week. Talk to you then.
Love you guys. Aliens are real.
Cool. I thought that was a good episode.
Yep. Yeah, it was pretty good. We should this rom-com thing. I could do a 20.
Oh yeah, dude. No,
Once you really start looking back through rom-coms and what's considered rom-coms, you realize what's so funny and what's so amazing. I do think I don't think we should go through the arbitration process next time on what definitions we're using for our rankings, because I think that makes it a little more fun. Because Mac, you didn't go with the no scores thing, and I kind of liked that made your power ranking of scores of movie